Nier Automata. Nier Automata? Is this really the second episode in a row with titles that nobody says correctly? Whatever. In the ending of the game, it says Automata. But that's stupid because Automata makes more sense. Think about it. We're dealing with machines and androids this time around. There's no way the name Automata wasn't a reference to the actual dictionary definition of the word automaton, which means a moving mechanical device made in imitation of a human being. Automata, automaton, come on, man. There's no way I'm the crazy one here, right? All right. No one is here for me to be a regular nerd today. They're here for me to be a video game nerd. Although that title's kind of taken, but who cares? I've got a story to share. My story with Nier Automata. And I'm not gonna lie, this is like my third time rewriting this. Nier Automata is a tough nut to crack. So this time, I'm just gonna lay it all out right. I'm no psychologist and I'm no therapist. I don't know the proper words or formulas to properly identify the troubles and trauma these characters have experienced. So don't really expect that from me. But I am someone who can take a hint and empathize with these silly fictional characters that have gone through lifetimes worth of hardships. And I think that's enough for what I want to say today. And with that, I guess I gotta answer what the freak Nier Automata even is. Nier Automata, the second game in the Nier franchise, headed once again by the elusive Yoko Taro. And unlike what some will tell you for some reason, this is an actual sequel to Nier Replicant. And this is actually my first time playing the game directly after Replicant, not to mention my first time playing past Route A in years. So because of this being a sequel, I would highly recommend, if you haven't already, to check out my previous episode on Nier Replicant. You don't have to do it, just like you don't have to play Replicant before Automata, but I genuinely think that being attached to the history of this world will allow you to be hit with even harder emotions by the end. Nier Automata takes place 10,000 years after Replicant, so practically everyone we knew outside of our little goofball Emil is long gone. But now humanity is at war. Sometime after Nier Replicant, Earth was invaded by aliens, who over the course of time during this war was able to take over some of the planet, allowing greater production of their machine soldiers. The only way humanity is able to fight back against their forces is with their state-of-the-art android models, who make up most of our cast, including our two heroes, 2B and 9S. Now, this was something I never fully got. Humans use androids to fight for them while they escape to the moon due to not only the severity of the fighting, but its impact. Because of these thousands of years of fighting, even if they're not just fighting for humanity anymore, many androids have their own personal hatred for machines. But again, what I don't get is that aren't androids just machines? Aren't the flight and pod support units both machines too? I know there's a deeper meaning behind this regarding certain boxes that I won't detail any further about, but still, it makes me kind of wonder if they get fight or flight reactions when they see a toaster. But anyways, that's essentially what this game deals with. The war between the alien-made machines and the human-made androids, both sides having not actually seen their retreated creators in hundreds of years. Again, all of this being ramifications of what we did in Nier Replicant. Alright, it's spoiler time, baby. The weights are off. If you don't want to be spoiled, feel free to skip to here where you'll be safe. But even then, there'll still be visual and gameplay spoiler footage throughout the video from here on out, so be careful. I highly recommend you play the game for yourself and come back because I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on my thoughts about what the freak these characters are thinking. Okay, here we go. Dude, what the freak, man? What the heck even is this game? I'm not gonna lie, I haven't played through the whole game, that being past Route A, since 2017. What mainly stuck with me was its impact, but the story and details itself were largely lost. For example, at the end of Route A, we defeat the two beings at the head of the machine network, Adam and Eve, with things largely looking up. But by the time we get to Route B, which is essentially Route A, but from 9S's point of view, we were able to learn so much more about this world and the truth behind most of what's going on. Okay, like usual, I'll break this down into the biggest highlights that impacted me the most, just for the sake of being easier for you all to digest and for me to emotionally handle without choking up. So I'm glad I replayed this game for the video because I distinctly remember not really caring for 2B too much by the end of everything. I was younger back when I had played this, 19 or 20 I think, and I guess I just didn't fully understand her. It was hard for me to get past her prickly exterior, and it's not even being done in the tsundere kind of way. It just kind of felt distant and cold, but the reasoning behind it was grounded in pure love 2B had for the people around her, and of course 9S. 9S is just basically excited that he gets to work with someone because his type of model usually work alone, but 2B treats him kind of like a pest and shuts him down at every opportunity for a character moment. In a way, it kind of feels like a confidence play by the writers. When you shut down character moments through the narrative as early as the first 20 minutes of the game, it does not leave me much room to work with. That's kind of where the dislike for her began. And 9S dealing with this kind of just made me more attached to him, especially seeing him go so far for someone that does not seem like she would do the same. However, the moment near the beginning when they detonate their black boxes and sacrifice themselves, 2B seemed to truly care about 9S when she thought he'd die. This was the first sign I could tell she was hiding her feelings, something I completely didn't acknowledge on my first playthrough back in 2017. This relationship blossoms further too when they respawn at the bunker. 2B thanks him for uploading her data so she'd retain her memories, but she soon hurt a bit finding out 9S didn't do the same for himself since he didn't have time to do more than one upload. Going that far for her to even essentially kill that version of himself? Kinda heavy, don't you think? 2B obviously thinks so too, so I guess by this point it's clear that she cares for 9S a lot. So why is she acting so distant? Well, we do get a piece of that answer during this route, but the truth of it comes later. Based on what we find out, 2B's real ID isn't actually 2B, it's actually 2E, the E standing for execution. She's a secret type of Yorha unit android designed to kill S-type androids if they learn confidential information about the organization. Due to their extreme intellect, it was practically guaranteed that this would happen at some point. The game's main story doesn't fully dive deep into this outside of that fact, but it implies that this has been going on, and 2B was forced to kill 9S over and over and over again in the past, with him losing his memories of it every time. There's actually optional material you can see called a repeating prayer. It's basically a collection of short stories regarding 9S and 2B before the game takes place, and as expected, it shows on many occasions where 9S learns too much and 2B is forced to kill him. What makes it so overwhelmingly sad is that 2B is in agony that she has to kill one she cares for so much, so many times. She feels dirty, unclean for doing so, sins that can't be washed off. But I think what pushes me over the edge is that 9S never once blames 2B for this. If anything, he just lets her know that even if this version of him dies, this him is happy he got to spend time with her regardless. As it goes on, it seems 9S is able to learn some things differently, or able to find some things out earlier than previous lives. Even in the game's main ending, he already knows that 2B was an executioner model designed to kill him, but that doesn't really mean anything to him. One thing I think is really underrated about all this is 9S's relationship with his operator, 210. At first, she seems even colder than 2B, but after a while, you can kind of sense the warmth from her, to the point where it even begins to feel maternal, especially after doing her side quest where you collect some relics of the past for her to study. It turns out she's just really lonely and desires a family more than anything else. It truly seems like she thought of 9S as a son. It's a bit weird because I'm not sure how it works because it's never explained, but I wonder if 210 has always been 9S's operator, because if so, she should be one of the first to know when he dies. And if 2B has been killing him for who knows how long, over and over and over, then it makes me wonder how she truly felt about that happening, or 2B for that matter, as she's the one doing that to what's basically her son. Just some food for thought. It should be illegal to write characters this good. I need Yoko Taro arrested. Now, we don't actually know as much about A2, the third protagonist of the game, as we do the other two, but there's something about her relationship with 9S that I really didn't like. So in Route C, all of Yorha becomes infected with the logic virus. It's a virus that, while not 100% explained, for all intents and purposes turns androids feral, attempting to kill other androids. 2B gets infected by it too. Wanting to die alone from anyone it could spread to, she runs into A2, who grants her a swifter and more merciful death, but 9S, who was looking for 2B, stumbles upon A2 killing her. 2B's last word was the nickname she refused to call 9S by for basically the whole game. This sends 9S into manic rage, where he's unable to take revenge as the bridge he's on gives away. Now, this is all fine. Well, not fine, I'm crying thug tears right now, but fine is in how it's written. But my main problem stems from that A2 is able to tell basically anyone who wants to know that she killed 2B to free her from the logic virus. Anyone except 9S. I know they don't meet back up for a while, but there were multiple times she could have just said why she did it. She didn't do it out of hate or just to be a murderer. She basically did for 2B what 2B did for 9S at the end of Route A and B. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm making a big deal out of it, but it just seems like one of the very few issues I have with the writing. But A2 is a great character too. She's been through so freaking much. She's basically lost everything. She knows the truth behind Yorha and the androids, so she's been labeled a traitor. The only glimmer of her past still around is Anemone, a friend back from their fighting days. If you talk to her, there's some more supplementary material that can be read at a nearby terminal. It gives us the backstory of how A2's unit and Anemone's unit met on the battlefield and gradually became closer. Until, of course, the tides of war and struggle claimed all of her friends either through separation or death. Now she's basically just on a war path of destruction. She doesn't care about anything besides killing machines. But as she goes on, it becomes more and more obvious that a life like that is hard when you're alone. There's only so far you can go by yourself. I think this was when they really started trying to give the pod some character development. Most of the game at that point was just us using them in combat or telling them to shut up in cutscenes. And granted, A2 does this plenty of times too, but because of the technicality of him, that being pod 042, now belonging to her, he doesn't have to follow her as strictly as he did for 2B. It lets us start to see how he and 9S's pod 153 at some point, started to truly wake up and become alive. They cared for who they were supposed to be supporting, not just as a gadget, but as individuals. In the true ending, it even sets up that they're bringing 9S, A2, and 2B back to life. Bro, this is a video game. I know these characters aren't real, but man, why the heck am I so sad? The game is able to pull me in so deeply that I'm able to push so much aside just to become a part of its world, and I think this is incredibly well done. I know there's some characters I didn't talk about, like Emil, who, if I'm honest, doesn't actually play a part in the story. I know his history on Earth after Replicant is expansive. He did fight in the war, but so much happened that he even made millions of clones of himself. I think this kind of took away a bit from me. Knowing this Emil is not the same Emil from Replicant just makes me care less about this clone, despite being a cute car now. There's also the twins Devila and Popola here in this game now too. However, just like Emil, these aren't the same two from that game. Turns out there were tons of Devilas and Popolas out there, one pair for each town. But now these two have had hard lives full of isolation and hatred from strangers because of the twins we knew from Replicant. Basically, the world found out about Project Gestalt, and after hearing about how humanity was screwed because of our twins' failure to keep the Shadow Lord safe, the whole world basically blamed the twins for it. All of them. Which really sucks for them because they had nothing to do with that failure, but people associate the end of the world with them anyway just because they share a face with the real failures. So they've been basically living on the run, trying to make ends meet and atone for their sins. Again, they didn't do anything wrong, but they strangely feel the need to atone regardless. Likely because, as you know from Replicant, the real failures can't do anything to make up for it now anyways. Again, I feel bad for these two, but them not being my Devila and Popola makes me not as attached to them as I could be. This isn't inherently bad, it's just not an approach I prefer. Even if the game has its fair share of things I don't like, I'd still wager I feel that way about this game more mechanically than narratively. So when it comes to gameplay, like the original, it's an action RPG. Attack button hits, dodge button dodges. Just like before, we've got light and heavy attacks with differing sets of weapons that can be applied to any variety of situations. I'd say a lot of this game's combat depends on timing, perfect dodging, knowing when not to get greedy in fights, the works. One thing I noticed right away about this game's combat compared to Replicant is that every enemy is tankier than that game. Combat just goes on longer in this game. That's not a bad thing. Combat is fast paced yet satisfying. However, I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to outright avoid fights sometimes. Unlike Brother Nier, 2B and A2 carry around 2 weapons at a time with said heavy and light attacks. Your pod acts the same as Grimoire Vice did back then, so you'll be blasting lasers and swinging swords all day and night. However, my most disliked combat style was 9S, which sucks because he's my favorite favorite character. It's weird, I distinctly remember being shocked to hear people didn't like playing as 9S back when I first beat the game. Playing it now, that stupid hacking minigame made me want to pull my hair out. I'm serious, everything from it being an annoying pace breaker in combat to the slippery controls of the minigame made me just want it to be done. There were days I didn't even want to grab footage because I didn't want to play it. If I were to rate it, I'd give it a blitzball out of 10. It's worse because 9S can only use one weapon in combat. You'd think this would be fine because brother Nier only had one weapon too, but he had light and heavy attacks to switch between and a bigger focus on switching weapon types on the fly. 9S does not have this, so not only is he slower in a fight, he's also weaker. Though I'm glad I waited to write this part of the video because I ended up remembering from back then that you can actually solely control the hacking minigame's cursor angle and the direction with the right stick, while moving the cursor itself with the left stick. I swear the game does not tell you this, at least I don't think it did. The minigame still isn't that fun, but it certainly got better when I don't feel like I'm slipping all over the place just trying to face a specific direction. For any Android we control, we have access to plugin chips. This took me back to my Mega Man Battle Network days, man. I'm so ready for that Legacy Collection next year. I want to cover those games on the channel so badly. But back to Nier. This mechanic allows you to build the character in almost any way you want. I say almost because you don't get too much out of installing hacking chips into A2, you know? You gotta work around the type of character you're playing as. Maybe it offers a bit less this way, but I try to go for a general overall build, especially post Route B, since you'll be switching characters a lot. And I won't lie, this was the best build I've had so far. There are some times where I don't even take damage because I'm healing so fast. Leveled up deadly heals and offensive heals are freaking nuts. Healing while I'm not doing anything, healing while I'm beating enemies, it just rocks. That is until you finish Route B and begin Route C and everything is over 10 levels higher than you. What the heck happened here? Was it just me? I felt I had zero trouble against the final boss at the end of Route B, but suddenly these opening fights in Route C are kicking my butt. It sucks too because I couldn't find my body and the enemies kept hacking my visuals and physical functions like jumping and dashing, so I ended up dying again before I got my chips back. Oh right, that's a mechanic I didn't bring up before. So yeah, when you die in this game, you lose all your crap on that body. And because you're in a new body now, if you want your old stuff, you gotta go retrieve it. But if you die again on the way there before claiming it, it's gone for good. Most of my OP chips were lost because of this, and I died like 10 more times during this section, but I kept forgetting to re-equip chips. But I did end up getting a lot of sellable loot, which doesn't disappear somehow on death, so now I'm filthy stinking rich in this game. I bought so many heals and buffing items that they carried me so hard for the remainder of the game, since I was still so low level. I think I was like level 43 when I beat the game, when most enemies were level 49 to 60. Wait a second, what the freak? I've gone this whole video without talking about the music and world design. What's going on with me? Has the Nier depression set in so heavily that I'm just a different guy today? I don't know, but one thing I do know is that this soundtrack hits so freaking hard, man. I genuinely believe practically every scene in this game is only as good as they are because of this soundtrack. It's quiet and ambient when needed, while also being loud and bombastic when it matters. Just like the story, the game's music is an absolute roller coaster of emotions that'll have me feeling things I didn't know I could. A genuine masterpiece. Though, as some may have noticed, I had to use replicant music for this video because for some reason YouTube hates people using Nier Automata music, probably because it's that good and they want to keep people from making money off it in any capacity, even for videos like this. But anyways, this comes greater into play when exploring this world too. This world is dead, but only dead of people. The plants and wildlife have completely overrun everything. It's been thousands of years since humans have managed anything on this planet, so it's to be expected, but this game makes it apparent without having to overly explain that this is the case. The world feels so haunting. Going through these dead cities, no people to populate them, the streets are buried beneath the soil and sand, the buildings are decayed, most are in no shape to hold anyone. They're there just to symbolize what once was and what can never be again. Wow, it's definitely something you take for granted while playing. It's easy to be swept off your feet by it at first, but 30 hours in, I'm not even looking at this place anymore. My eyes are glued to the objective marker on the minimap, so it's nice to take a look at all my footage and be able to at least appreciate it more in retrospect. This world is huge with a ton of secrets to explore and side quests to do that not only allow you to engage with the world more, but even reward you for doing it by giving you new toys for combat and really nice narrative world building too. I love it when game devs structure their worlds this way. Now, I know there's going to be those who wished I talked about this or talked about that, so I just want people to know if something wasn't brought up, it's likely because, as you all should know by now, I didn't want to spoil everything that the game has to offer. My video can never truly express what the game is doing better than the game itself can. Also, because this video would be 3 hours long if I really wanted to get into everything. If you've seen the Chrono Trigger episode, we should all know what I'm capable of. But yeah, this was a story of how I fell in love with Nier Automata, or I guess fell in love with Nier Automata to be more accurate. And to those wondering, because I said I'd bring it up in this one, but I couldn't find a good place for it anywhere else before this, but reaching the true ending isn't difficult at all in this one. It does not make you go back and collect all weapons or crap like that. It's a smooth ride. Unless you hate the 9S hacking minigame, then yes, it sucks here too. But with this, I've officially covered the whole Nier franchise. Apparently, Yoko Taro says the Nier series is done now. You know, unless he gets a fat stack of cash to do more. I know there's the mobile game, but I don't think most fully count it in these two stories. I hear it kind of acts as a bridge between the two, but completely unnecessary unless you just want fan service for these characters you love so much. I know it's only 2 videos, but it feels great knowing I've covered the whole of a saga already. It's a personal achievement that literally only I'll be proud of, and I'm okay with that. This is the final video of the year and the finale of my experimental phase of things. Of course, I'll be still trying new things going forward, but thanks to you all, I've got a pretty good idea how I want to approach things from here on out. Next year, we'll be starting things out with Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon, so look forward to that. And for those wondering, yes, we will have a video on Engage when that comes out, but it won't be a complete 100% full out retrospective of it or anything, since like I said with Xenoblade, I'd like to cover its newest entry in depth when I've fully covered what came before. Alright, don't worry, I'm ending the video now. I'll have our full end of the year discussion on the community tab when that time comes, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel with the bell notifications on so you don't miss it. And if you're a big fan of Nier and maybe like this deep voiced man talking about nerdy RPGs in your ear, leave the video a like. It lets me know I'm doing something right. Thank you all for watching. My name is Jordan, this was KingdomAce, and remember everyone to play some games, have some fun, and seek therapy if you choose to play Nier.